of the Port Tobacco Chapter, Daughters of the American Revolution, and I welcome you to our dedication of the America 250 plaque marker. Please rise as the North Point High School Air Force Junior ROTC Color Guard, commanded by Cadet James Dukes, carrying the American flag. Carrying the state flag is Cadet Olivia Leonard. Carrying the county flag is Cadet Alejandra Luna. Right rifle cadet is Jason Lima, and left rifle cadet is Kate Conrad. They will present the colors. Please remain standing for the opening ritual. The invocation will be led by Linda Talley, chaplain, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Joyce Evelyn, flag chair, the Americans' Creed, led by Joan Center, National Defense Chair, and the preamble by Elaine Lawton, Vice Regent. I will lead the NSDAR pledge. At the conclusion, the color guard will depart to school, and we thank them.
Thanks, gracious Lord, for the many blessings granted us by your grace. May we continue to find inspiration and hope in the deeds and actions of those who trust in you, fortify their determination to secure freedom above all else. May we continue today with praise for our great heritage and ask God's blessing now and forevermore. Amen. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The government of the people, by the people, for the people, whose just powers are derived from the consent of the governed, a democracy and a republic, a sovereign nation of many sovereign states, a perfect union, one and inseparable, established upon those principles of freedom, equality, justice, and humanity, for which American patriots sacrificed their lives and fortunes. I therefore believe it is my duty to my country to love it, to support its Constitution, to obey its laws, to respect its flag, and to defend it against all enemies.
We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America.
We, the daughters of the American Revolution, who find rest under the folds, do pledge our lives, our hearts, and our sacred honor to love and protect our country and the liberty the American people forever. Thank you. You may be seated.
Order. Arm. Right turn. Arch. Color. Off. Order. Arm. Horse. Arm. Over. Arch.
very own Amy Lloyd will perform the Liberty Song. Amy? These guys are a wonderful backdrop for this song. This is a song that was written in 1768 by John Dickinson. And it is written to the tune of Heart of Oak by William Boyce, which is from 1759. To protest the Townshend Act, Philadelphia lawyer John Dickinson wrote a document called Letters from a Farmer in Pennsylvania. It was arguing that Britain had no right to tax America. The letters were widely distributed, quoted, and debated. Then he set the message to music, and this is the song we are going to sing today. After Dickinson set his message to music, it was published in Philadelphia as a broadside. The Liberty Song was probably the first secular music in America, sheet music in America. Reprinted throughout the colonies, it was sung everywhere as a resistance song. The message, by uniting we stand, by dividing we fall, was crucial for the colonies early in the conflict. It became America's first national anthem, not official, but it was a national anthem even before there was a nation. Like most American songs of this era, this song borrowed a tune from a popular British song. In this case, it was Heart of Oak, which was a sea chanty. Parodies of songs, including responses from loyalists, formed the basis of much public debate. So that kind of sounds like a fun way to debate. A sea chanty is, of course, a folk song used for maritime work. So this was a work song. And so you'll see I have no instruments with me today because a work song is only sung with voices. So you're going to help. In a sea chanty, there is a leader called a chantyman. I'm going to be that person. And you all are going to be the workers singing along. Now, before I teach you a couple parts of this song, I just want to say that some songs expire with time. So you may not have heard this song before, and that is because, well, frankly, we won, right? So the song is not really needed anymore. And also, just some of the way some of the words are used are not the same way we use words today. So just keep that in historical perspective. So let me get a little pitch for us. Okay. This is what I want you to repeat after me. In freedom we're born, and in freedom we'll live. All right? Or, in freedom we're born, and in freedom we'll live. Okay, in freedom we're born, and in freedom we'll live. I'll do it again. In freedom we're born, and in freedom we'll live. Good. And we're going to do this with gusto because this is a resistance song. So this is like, sing it like you've had a couple drinks. Okay? So, in freedom we're born, and in freedom we'll live. Very good. And then the next part is, I'll sing, our purses are ready. And then you're all going to sing, steady, friends, steady. Okay? Steady, friends, steady. Not as slaves, but as free men, our money will give. Okay? Okay, I'm going to sing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 verses of this. So by the time we do this a few times when we get to that chorus, I think you'll be able to chime in just fine. All right. Come join hand in hand, brave Americans all, and rouse your bold hearts at fair liberty's call. No tyrannous acts shall suppress your just claim, or stain with dishonor America's name. In freedom we're born, and in freedom we'll live. Our purses are ready, steady, friends, steady. Not as slaves, but as free men, our money will give. Our
Not as slaves, but as free men, our money we'll give. Then join hand in hand, brave Americans all. By uniting we stand, by dividing we fall. In so righteous a cause, let us hope to succeed. For heaven approves of each generous deed. In freedom we're born, and in freedom we live. Our purses are ready. Stay, friends, stay. Not as slaves, but as free men, our money we'll give. All ages shall speak with amaze and applause of the courage we show in support of our laws. To die we can bear, but to serve we disdain. For shame is to freedom more dreadful than pain. In freedom we're born, and in freedom we'll live. Our purses are ready. Stay, friends, stay. Not as slaves, but as free men, our money we'll give. This bumper I crown for our sovereign's health, and this for Britannia's glory and wealth, that wealth and that glory immortal may be, if she is but just, and if we are but free. In freedom we're born, and in freedom we live. Our purses are ready. Stay, friends, stay. Not as slaves, but as free men, our money we'll give.
Awesome, thank you. If you'll notice, there is a party crasher flying around. Now I'd like to recognize our DAR state officials that are with us today. Murray Crane, Maryland State Regent. Maryland State Vice Regent Liz Deering. Maryland State Recording Secretary Mary Fisher. Maryland State Chaplain DeBreeze Scarlett. And State Editor Pat Arata. Other guests are the Maryland's, okay, sorry. We have members of the, and the HODARs, HODAR, Liz Deering's HODARs here, sorry. The script is a little messed up. Good thing I'm pretty. We have the Maryland State's SAR Color Guard and the Thomas Stone Color Guard, the State Color Guard commanded by Dave Emery. We have Mike Mazzio, SAR, Keith Cheeblin, SAR Chaplain. I also saw the Thomas Stone President, Norm Saunders. He is here today. Please welcome him. And members and friends of Smallwood, and the members of the Society for the Restoration of Port Tobacco. And if you were out of protocol order, I apologize. Right now, at this moment, I would like to invite our Maryland State Regent, Murray Crane, to come up and give greetings. Mrs. Crane.
Madam Regent. Well, I bring you greetings on behalf of the over 3,000 Maryland daughters, and I thank you for having us here today to join you for this very exciting and well-orchestrated Revolutionary War Patriot Marker ceremony. It really is a joy to be here with you. I have to tell you that the theme of this administration is, or the scripture verse that was chosen for this administration is from 1 Peter 4, which says, like good stewards of God's grace, let us serve one another with whatever gifts we have. And after hearing that singing voice a few moments ago, I'm just so thankful for voices like that, because I don't have one like that.
and an appreciation and a vibrancy to our history in a completely different way. So thank you for sharing that, for the color guards that are here, and for each and every one of you. Your presence really makes this a very special day. Thank you.
Our America 250 chair, Janice Vanderweerd, would like to come up and give an overview of this project. Mrs. Vanderweerd.
Good morning. This has been a wonderful, wonderful morning, and I love the singing. I love the beautiful words, so this has just been awesome. My name is Janice Vanderweerd, and yes, I am the America 250 Chapter Chair. It is an honor to be a part of this beautiful and historic ceremony today. As our great nation is approaching its 250th anniversary, the National Society, DAR, has established the America 250 Special Committee. One of the goals is to raise awareness and to honor the memory of our Revolutionary War patriots that served the great cause for freedom with an America 250 Patriot marker. These Patriot markers are being placed across the country to honor those who supported the Revolutionary War. We hope that these new markers will also become sources of pride for local communities to celebrate the brave patriots who founded our nation, and also to serve as a reminder of the importance of emulating their conviction, courage, and cooperation towards national unity, and to keep alive an appreciation for their valor and the achievements. We are focusing the memory of our patriots, the brave men and women who achieved American independence, who aided the cause of liberty and freedom. As daughters, we honor, we celebrate, and we keep history alive. Thank you.
Members of our chapter will conduct a roll call of our members, Charles County Patriots, accompanied by Noah Posey on the drum. I'd like to ask Pam Donahue, Maggie Larrick, and Joan Center to come forward.
This is our roll call for our Charles County chapter's Patriots. Brooke Field, Samuel Field, Henry Field, Benjamin Berry, Hezekiah Berry, Joseph Billing, Nicholas Boone, Leonard Foreman, Charles Foreman, Gustavus Oswald, Justine Birch, Oliver Birch, John Carpenter, Henry Chun, Ignatius Clark, William Claggett, Benjamin Conte, Thomas DeLauser, Gideon Dent, Hezekiah Dent, Sarah Dent, Isaiah Duke, William Dunnington, Peter Dunnington, Gerald Dyson, Edward Evelyn Sr., Edward Evelyn Jr.
George Everhart, John Fassett, Charles Farrell, James Forbes, John Forbes, Priscilla Butcher Franklin, Ignatius Gardner, Francis Gardner, Hezekiah Garner, Philip Gray, Thomas Hancock, William Hancock, John Hanson, first president of Continental Congress, John Hanson, Theophilus Hanson, Thomas Hanson, Robert Harrison, Baker P. Howard, Caleb Hudson, John Jarvis, Daniel of St. Thomas Jennifer, signer of the U.S. Constitution, James Keach, Clement Kennedy, John Kirshner, Benjamin McCall, Richard Marsh.
Thomas Marshall Jr., William Marshall, Ignatius Mudd, Francis Mudd, Henry Mudd Sr., Henry Thomas Mudd, Priscilla Poston, Thomas Scott, William Scott, Aaron Simmons, Henry J. Simpson, Truman Skinner, Thomas Smoot, Thomas Smoot, Francis Speak, Benjamin Stoddart, Thomas Stone, signer of the Declaration of Independence, Basil Talbot, William Thomas, Notley Tippett, William Toms, Basil Wright, John Luger Wright. If we have overlooked someone, apologies. We hope the list continues to grow as we grow our membership. Mary Pat Berry, historian, will give us some insight into a patriot's life. Mrs. Berry.
Thomas. Good morning. I'm Mary Pat Berry, chapter historian, and let me introduce our two reenactors today, Thomas Berry and Noah Posey. And in a minute, you're going to hear from them. Michael Crichton, science fiction and modern author, wrote, though, the purpose of history is to explain the present, to say why the world around us is the way it is. We've heard footsteps echoing across the landscape. Most of the time barely heard, mostly forgotten. But if we listen quietly, we will hear them. This is about the women and men that were the foot soldiers of the American Revolution. We see around us the plaques dedicated to Smallwood and Hanson and Jennifer, but this is for the ordinary man, those forgotten patriots that sought no glory or attention. So I'm going to ask Noah to step forward first and say just say what you're supposed to say, sir.
I am a patriot. I am John Denver.
As a lad of not more than 14 years old, he enlisted and served as both a drummer and a fifer to the Maryland line. He had stood in his family's parlor listening to the grown-ups talk about taxes and war and rebellion. He had watched as his father, who was already a veteran of the French and Indian War, march off with the Continental Army and die at Bunker Hill. But this only stoked the flames of rebellion in young John. Knowing they needed musicians, he enlisted with the 6th Maryland Regiment, and as the war turned south, he followed. 7 years of British determination to crush us into the Carolinas had failed. So John was serving a vital role in this regiment. Music commanded the lives of the soldiers in the Continental Army, as they were assigned to be with the soldiers' every move. Because of this, drummers gave the commands during the battles because you can't hear someone speak. So he was alongside the soldiers in the battles, but no weapon other than his drum, but a target nonetheless. By 1781, our army was poorly equipped, underfed, barefoot, some near naked because supplies were in constant demand and not being able to be found. He and his fellow comrades camped 7 miles from Utah Springs, South Carolina. The day dawned hot, fair, and heavy firing soon crackled and boomed through the woods. The British regulars met the Continentals in hand-to-hand fighting, bayonets meeting bayonets, swords clashing on swords. His captain was killed next to him, and John was struck with a bayonet and his hand was almost severed off. After more than 4 hours of indecisive battle under a merciless sun, both armies had had enough. Casualties were extremely high. They said blood ran deep, ankle deep in some places. And the strewn area of the dead and dying was heartbreaking. Many were buried where they fell, and the whole battlefield became a hero cemetery. But it was not shed in vain. This last major battle in the South Carolinas broke the British hold in the South, and more importantly, denied aid to Cornwallis, who only 6 weeks later surrendered to George Washington. The Maryland Regiment limped home, short of supplies, but it didn't stop John's determination as he enlisted again, and with several companies marched to Newburgh, New York, George Washington's headquarters, waiting for the end of the war. After the war, John returned home and had 13 children. But under the Pension Act of 1818, he applied for a pension by rights of his service in the Maryland line. The records read, "This person is so reduced in indigent circumstances and needs the assistance of his country. His property is listed worth not more than $50, and he is in debt for $136. He stated himself, "I am John DeNoon, and of the occupation of a husbandman, and disabled by a wound in my hand received in the service, and have frequent and chronic rheumatic pains, and unable to do a day's work." He was pensioned at the rate of $8 a month. He lived to the ripe old age of 72 and died in 1838 in Mifflin, Ohio. He was a revolutionary soldier and patriot, and we thank John DeNoon.
I'm James Hernandez, and I'm a patriot.
At his father's death in 1775, James received a feather bed and some other furniture from his father's estate. Basically, his father told him, "Make your own way." Perhaps motivated by the lack of his inheritance, John sought an officer's commission in early 1776, and he briefly served in the county militia. He entered the regular ranks as a sergeant, and 6 months later was an ensign. In 1776, the Battle of Brooklyn was the first combat experience for the men of the 1st Maryland Regiment. With British muskets and cannons trained on the advancing Marylanders, several were killed instantly, some beheaded right next to each other. Undeterred, the men formed lines and charged into the hail of fire again and again. Maryland's finest, rich and poor alike, lay dead and dying. The assault inflicted several casualties upon the regiment, but delayed the British advance long enough for the rest of the Continental Army to retreat. Their sacrifice prevented the Army's complete capture that day and possibly the end of the war, and earned the regiment the title, the Maryland 400. James, unfortunately, was captured, and now found himself on a loathsome prison ship among a collection of the most wretched and disgusting-looking objects ever beheld. Here was a motley crew, covered with rags and filth, bodies with disease, emancipated with hunger and anxiety, and hardly a trace of their original appearance. He found that every spark of humanity had fled the breast of the British officers who had charge of them. They thought nothing but to put abuse and insult on the poor people in the boat. Wrote a prisoner on the famous, or the infamous, Her Majesty's ship Jersey. But to climax this, we were fed, if you could call it that, with provisions not fit for any human being to make use of. Putrid beef and pork, worm-eaten bread. There were continual noises during the night, the groans of the sick and dying. the curses poured out by the weary and exhausted upon their keepers, the relentlessness caused by the suffocating heat and the confined and poisoned air mingled with the ravings of delirium. The patriotism in preferring such treatment and even death rather than serving the British and fighting against their own country has seldom been equaled and certainly never excelled. James was released in an exchange and assigned a company under George Washington, and spent the next months in the battles of the Philadelphia campaign. He spent the winter at Valley Forge. He took part in the battles at White Plains, Fishkill, and Middleborough. And at the Battle of Stony Point on the Hudson, he was injured himself, and his commander was injured, and he picked him up and put him on his back and took him to a place of safety. Suffering from such severe wounds, he resigned the next day. But this was not the end of his service. He came back to Charles County and became a recruiting officer. He served as a captain in the Maryland Extra Regiment and was headed the commissary for Charles County, responsible for trying to find supplies for those soldiers that he knew they needed so desperately. 4 years of his blood, sweat, and horror. James would reflect upon his experience as a prisoner of war when he petitioned the Maryland House of Delegates for pay due him for his service, stating that while he was a prisoner, he had sustained and despised every cruelty and temptation. He married twice, settling to a farmer's life in Charles County, fathering 4 children, but due to the hardships and the wounds he had received during the war, he died in 1790 at only 36. It is hoped you will remember these patriots who sacrificed so much. Hopefully they still echo in your minds and make you remember why we are here today. And I leave you with George Washington's words. Good God, what brave fellows I must lose this day.
Thank you, Mary Pat. Very moving. Oh, so I guess we're going to sing before we go outside. Okay, that's fine. Slight change in the program. We are going to sing before we go outside for our marker unveiling. Please join Amy Lloyd in singing My Country 'Tis of Thee, and the words are printed on the back of the program. Mrs. Lloyd.
Okay, please turn your hymnals to page 250. And please stand and join as we honor our country and sing My Country 'Tis of Thee.
My country, 'tis of thee, sweet
program outdoors. Chapter DAR is proud to dedicate this marker in recognition of the sacrifice our ancestors made in their quest for liberty. Madam State Regent Myrnie Crane and I will remove the shroud, which will be followed by a 3-gun salute demonstrated by the 1st Maryland Regiment and Thomas Stone and Maryland State SAR Color Guards. Madam State Regent.
That cut.
Thank you, gentlemen. I'd like to ask Joyce Evelyn, as a representative of the Society for the Restoration of Port Tobacco, who care and own this replica historic courthouse, to accept the marker on their behalf. Mrs. Evelyn.
Thank you, Madam Regent. Good morning. Good morning, Joyce. Madam State Regent. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to give you a little brief history first before I thank you. This building is the 3rd courthouse. The first one was lost by an act of nature in the 1700s. The 2nd courthouse was lost by an act of arson. The documents miraculously walked themselves to the front lawn, and the arsonists took down the building. Why was that done? This was our county seat. Port Tobacco was the county seat. The town of La Plata, 3 miles east, wanted the county seat position, and the vote failed. And the vote failed, and the vote failed. So on August 3rd of 1892, the arson occurred. But how kind to save the documents and the records. Society Restoration of Port Tobacco, which I am a board of director of, and if my other board of directors could make themselves recognized, I have Sharon Vaughn, a little wave, Kevin Grote, Linda Talley. Am I missing anybody on the board? Okay. Society Restoration of Port Tobacco was formed in 1948. We are all volunteers. We work tirelessly to pay the insurance on the buildings, to keep us open to the public, and teach heritage and education to the public. So with that said, I would like to thank you for bestowing this national level plaque on the Society Restoration Port Tobacco Courthouse building. It couldn't be more grand, it couldn't be more appreciated. And to co-chair with the brilliant Mary Pat Berry, historian, is just a true honor that I wore 2 hats for this on a DAR level and a Society of Restoration of Port Tobacco level. And I thank you all for coming, and we at the Society of the Restoration of Port Tobacco gladly accept this plaque. What an honor. Thank you.
Society of the Restoration of Port Tobacco. Another shout out to our hospitality chair, Ann Chess, for coordinating our goodies today, and to Jim Berry, Hodar of Mary Pat, for the installation of this marker on Sunday. Our chaplain, Linda Talley, will give the benediction, and we invite you to stay and partake of refreshments prepared by our members. Thank you all for coming today.
In freedom.